welcome to Off School for this week's summer school. I am your featured author. My name is Jo Simmons. I write funny books for kids like you. So books like this one. And this one. And these two. Anyway, every day I'm going to be introducing one of the books and telling you a bit more about them in detail. Today I'm going to tell you a bit about myself, how I write, what's in my books, where I get my ideas from. If you're working with a teacher in a group, then on Friday afternoon we're going to have a question and answer session. So have a think about some questions you might like to ask me. I'll be really interested to find out which books you enjoyed the most. So first of all though, I've got a question for you. Are you bored? It's been a long time since the schools were open and now we've got a long summer holiday ahead of us. Are you running out of things to do? Because I've got the answer. And it's reading, which you probably guessed I was going to say, but anyway. Now I sometimes worry that reading is falling out of fashion a bit, like penny farthings or top hats or darning socks when they've got a hole in them. And I think that's a problem. In fact, I think that's a tragedy, and I'll tell you why. So scientists and very clever people have done lots of research about how reading is actually good for your health and well-being. Okay, so it can teach you empathy, which is like being able to understand how someone else thinks and feels. It can teach you new words and new information without you really realising you're even learning. And it gives you better chances in life as a grown-up. So that's all brilliant, like no question. But what I like most about reading is what it does for you in the here and now. So reading allows you to travel without even leaving your house. It allows you to escape when you feel trapped. You can make new friends through reading when your own friends aren't around. You can find ways of looking at the world differently through a book. And you can experience different feelings and emotions which really remind you that you're alive. So you might feel fear or excitement or laughter and happiness all through reading a book. That's pretty cool. But most of all, you know what? The thing that's the best about reading is it's fun. Even reading about serious subjects, it's still fun. And reading funny books like the kind I write, well, that's definitely fun. So what I would really urge you to do this summer is to pick up a book. Enjoy some reading. Let your imagination go wild. See where it takes you. Meet new characters. Follow amazing stories with twists and turns and crazy near misses. Have some fun. Try it. Welcome to Author Talk. My guest today is Jo Simmons. Welcome. Thanks for having me. I want to ask you first where you get your ideas from. Sure, yeah. I mean, they come from everywhere. I like to write funny books and I like to write in the here and now, so not fantasy or history or war. I write about home life and families and brothers and sisters, and I get ideas from my own children and the things they say. I'm always looking and listening when I'm out and about to maybe hear snippets of conversation on the bus that just get the ideas going, and I borrow from my own life. So the idea for my book, I Swapped My Brother on the Internet, was a friend of mine who said her daughter was cross with her and said, I wish I could swap you on the internet for a better mother. So I just thought that's a great idea for a book. So ideas come from all over. What makes a funny book? What makes a funny story? I would say it's a mixture of things. It's funny episodes, funny unpredictable events happening, weird characters, quirky language, lots of misunderstandings, that kind of thing. And where do you work? I write, I have a small office with a desk and I work sometimes in pen and paper, and then I work on a laptop. I imagine you're rich and famous and mixed with lots of famous people. No. Hi again. So I hope you're going to give reading a go this summer, and then maybe after that you might think about creating your own story. Here are some really good places to start. Tip number 1. Don't worry about working on the whole story. Begin by just thinking of some funny situations. In my story, I swapped my brother on the internet. Johnny swaps his real brother and gets lots of replacement brothers via a website that he finds. And one of those brothers is the ghost of Henry VIII. And I had lots of fun working out how the two of them might become friends and get along. Tip number 2. Find some random objects in your house, it doesn't matter what. Sprinkle a bit of magic dust on them and get your imagination going and start imagining a story around them. A key, a watch, a ping pong ball, a thing. Put them all together and see if you can make a story out of those. Tip number 3. Ask yourself some questions. Wouldn't it be amazing if... ... Wouldn't it be amazing if I could fly to the moon? Wouldn't it be amazing if I could talk to my dog? And then turn it around. Wouldn't it be terrible if... This can be your worst nightmare. Wouldn't it be terrible if school was 7 days a week? Wouldn't it be terrible if you were abandoned in a city and you were the only person left behind? Tip number 4. Start with a character. So you might decide, I really want to write a story about a mermaid called Stephanie who only eats marshmallows and lives in a shell. Fine, go for it. That's a really good place to start. Have fun. Often it's easy to have an idea for a story, but it's harder to get it all the way to the end to actually make the whole story. So I've got some tips for structuring your story. So tip number 1. Ask yourself 3 questions. What is it about? Then ask, what happens? And then ask, how does it end? These 3 questions are at the heart of every story, and you need to be able to answer them really neatly, and then you know you've got a great story, okay? Tip number 2. Another good idea for working out whether you've got a whole story is really simple. You just tell someone about it. Actually, speaking the story out to someone else, doesn't matter who, can help you get clear in your mind and tell whether there's something wrong with it. So you could be your friend, your mum, whoever. So I'm going to tell my idea for a story to Harry the Hairy Haggis. Hi Harry, I've got this really cool idea for a story. Yeah, it's about this dog, right? And he only eats like marshmallows and sweets. But he also has to go to the moon. But he can't do that because his dad, who's not actually a dog, he's a giraffe, has got stuck down a well. But when he was trying to get out of the well, he hurt his toenails, and then, it's too complicated, isn't it? It's not really working. Okay, thanks. Now, when you're working on your story, you can get stuck. Don't worry about it. Everybody gets stuck. I get stuck all the time. But I've got some tips about what to do if you get stuck. They're on my screen here. I'm just going to have a look so I don't forget any of them. Tip 1. Go for a walk. Jump up and down. Waggle your arms around. Do anything to sort of loosen your brain up. And sometimes little ideas will pop into your head and you'll get over being stuck and be able to carry on making your story. Tip number 2. Change perspective. So maybe you're seeing your story only through your main character's eyes, but you've got a bit stuck with that. Why don't you see your story through the eyes of his best friend, or the person who's the problem in the story, the baddie or the difficult, troublesome person? That can sometimes free you up to come up with some more ideas. You can also turn your ideas just on their head. So maybe your main character is a dragon that eats kittens, but you're not really getting anywhere with that. So turn it on its head. Make your main character be a kitten that eats dragons. And then you may find your story flies. So after you have written your story, that's what we're going to think about now. So getting to the end of a story takes a lot of work and effort. It really does. So if you've managed to make it to the end and you've created a story, well done you. But I find it really hard to get a whole story written. And when I've written it, do I get to lie on the sofa and watch telly? Do I heck? I have to edit it. So editing is something that my editor does. She reads through my story. She checks for all kinds of mistakes. She checks for if it's making sense. She checks for if it's funny enough, if it's interesting enough, if the characters are believable enough, and then she sends it back to me. Lots and lots of notes on it. And I have to work on it and make it as good as I can. And it's only with her help that I can make my story good. So when you've had a go at making a story, maybe share it with someone and ask them how you could make it better. But don't give up on it, okay? Eventually, as I'm working, I also have to admit I do get distracted. So I don't always concentrate and get it done in one go. I get distracted by my dog. I get distracted by eating biscuits. I sometimes have to break off and urgently wash my hair or clean the sink. But that's normal, so keep going and get to the end. And eventually, when you finish, it's completely amazing to have created something from up here to on the page. And the good thing is you can do it because we're all writers. There's no special talent. You're not born a writer. It's something you can learn and develop. And the best thing as well is that you guys have got massive imaginations. There's nothing to hold you back. So get curious, look around you and start coming up with some stories this summer holiday. I guarantee it's going to be fun and it will distract you from being bored and stuck in at home. It can take you anywhere. Reading and writing can take you anywhere. So I'm going to hand over to Rachel and Fran now. They've got lots of fun activities for you to work on, and I think you're going to start the week by looking at this book, which is My Parents Cancelled My Birthday, and I'll check in with you again soon. Bye!